Hello, welcome to the first vlog of 2023. Charger is working, awesome. I'm Eve today using Qidemo. And of course, here's the app to start. Nice, charging. Now, while the car's charging, welcome to my first vlog of 2023. Ironically enough, this vlog is about EV charging, and it's pretty much lack of reliability in some cases. If you're a regular follower, you would know that we recently completed a trip from Sydney to Perth and return. And we went via Broken Hill, which meant our first charge was at Bathurst, then Dubbo, which was Tesla superchargers, mind you, so they're pretty reliable. But after that, we were relying on the NRMA network to go from Cobar, or actually Nyngan, Cobar, Berowra, Broken Hill, to Jamestown. Now, if we did that trip today, we couldn't do that exact same trip because the chargers at Berowra are broken, both of them. And when we were there, one was working and we managed to continue our trip quite safely. But if you did that trip like now, at Berowra, you'd be stuck there trying to find a 3-phase power point or even slower 15 amp. And it'll take you a lot longer, probably take an extra day or two just because of that one broken charger at the moment, which is a bummer. And seriously, no. Well, that's a bummer. How about the other chargers? This I'm talking about. Now, everybody knows the Tesla supercharger network is incredibly reliable, which is fantastic, but you do pay more for electricity, which is fair enough. You're getting a known reliable network and you can safely plan your trips. I mean, I returned journey, once we hit Adelaide, you're into the supercharger network again. We exclusively use superchargers simply for the fact you didn't have to plan. Because we knew as soon as we arrived at a supercharger, we weren't going to get any of this. And therefore, your sort of navigation said, okay, you're going to go to this charger, say Wodonga or Euroa or wherever. You know you're going to get a charge and it was going to work and it was going to provide the power you needed to continue on your trip. But confidence, essentially. Now, if you're anything other than a Tesla doing that trip, you could probably do it. But you've also got to start checking on things like PlugShare, check regular check-ins, previous check-ins to make sure the charger's still working, because unfortunately that adds another layer of anxiety, another layer of angst to EV ownership when you're travelling these big long journeys in Australia at the moment, which is a real shame. Because this sort of thing really is a really big handbrake to EV adoption in Australia at the moment. It's probably the biggest one. It's probably the biggest hurdle for doing road trips at the moment in anything other than a Tesla. And as we know, the Tesla network in Australia is reasonably small. So that needs to be expanded as well, and it is slowly, which is great. It's also fantastic that ARENA is, which is the government funding for EV chargers, is providing funding for more chargers, including Tesla chargers, which means they'll be agnostic, which means even if you haven't got a Tesla, you might be able to use the Tesla network to charge your vehicle. Now, if they can keep that same reliability as they got with Teslas now, that would be brilliant. Because then if you're driving a Polestar or anything other than a Tesla, you know you can get there and not be faced with this. It's funny that when I plug it back in, we turn the plug, it says it works again. So I'm not sure what's happening there. That's a bit strange, but yeah. So I guess the problem is, what's causing these? Is it poor design? Is it poor maintenance? Is it lack of maintenance? Is it lack of spares availability? Are there any alternatives? I know Tritium are pretty much the only charger supplier in Australia at the moment, other than Tesla, for the high-end stuff like the 50 kilowatts up to 350 kilowatts. But are the companies installing them just not maintaining them? Is it they can't get the parts and they're still waiting on supply chain issues, which the rest of the world is dealing with as well? So that's sort of excusable, I guess, in a way. Now, I've heard similar issues in America with Electrify America Network, but they use totally different chargers that we've got. I don't know what the issues are behind that network in America being so unreliable. But yeah, it seems to have similar issues here. I don't see similar issues happening in Europe though, so I'm not exactly sure what the issues behind there. So yeah, give me some comments below or some feedback, and what do you think is the reason why these are proving to be so unreliable? It's kind of strange, because in the first few years that we had this iMove and our Tesla, these chargers weren't very common. So I mean, like in Western Sydney alone, our nearest charger was Sydney Olympic Park. Now we've got these three right here, and literally 50 metres down the road, there's another EV charger down the road, which funnily enough has been pretty much perfectly reliable since the day it was installed. This one here, the older 50 kilowatt one, has been reasonably reliable up till now. It's the first time I've actually used it and it's broken, it's stopped. Those two have been out of service for quite a while. So I don't know what's happening with those ones. But yeah, I know these are installed by Western Sydney University and they're free to use, so they do get abused. I know these ones get used a lot by some new EV owners in the area, because I've come up here a few times and seen the same cars here charging to 99% quite regularly, almost every second day, which is not the done thing. I know the solar powered, big solar roof here, which is great, but yeah, unfortunately humans being humans, if you're going to offer them something for free, they're going to abuse it. That's just the way it is. So how do we fix this problem? Is it more funding? Is it just supply chain issues? We've just got to wait and be patient until the parts turn up and they can regularly get fixed again? Is it companies not providing a maintenance budget and not getting out there to maintain them? How much of these failures are attributed to vandalism? Because we know when we were at Wilcannia, one of the charges that out there was vandalised because the payment system was being smashed or someone tried to burn it by the looks of it. And apparently the ones at Burke, I think is this, or Bron, I'm not exactly sure, I have to check PlugShare on that. But those have been vandalised from the day they've been installed and never worked since the day they were installed. Vandalism you can't help, it's just people being idiots. What can you do about that? So what's the solution? Should Tesla be asked to open up their charging network to all vehicles? But that still then doesn't solve the problems of places where there are no Tesla superchargers, which I admire NRMA because they have installed DC fast chargers in places well off the beaten track, which opens up those areas, because I'd really love to do another road trip out to Tibooburra and Cameron's Corners, the far north-west corner of New South Wales. At the moment, I can't do it. I can, it's going to take a very long time because there's no charges. I'd love to do the river run, as they call it, from Lightning Ridge all the way out to basically down to Broken Hill, or where is it? Menindee, following the Darling River. Unfortunately, every one of the charges along that route, from Lightning, Walgett, Boroner, Burke, all the way down to Wilcannia, they're all broken at the moment according to PlugShare. Now when we did a big trip, the way we got around this issue was, the day before we left, we checked PlugShare and we checked the check-ins and we checked the reliability of the charger. If it's broken, we'd plan around it. If it was a check-in the day before, even earlier that day, and it said it was working fine, then we'd risk it and take that route. Fortunately, on our trip across Australia, none of the chargers were broken, except the ones at Wilcannia, only one. We're fortunate because Cobar, only one charger. Ningen's got two, which is a good thing. Both are working, so that's good. Broken Hill, again, only has one. I don't know why, but that's sort of a major hub. The Broken Hill down to Adelaide is a long run. And luckily, once you get to South Australia, well, when it comes to DC fast charging in South Australia, there's a lack of it, a big lack of it. So that's my rant for the day. Biggest hurdle to EV adoption in Australia at this point in time is reliability of these things. Now, I've just tried plugging it in again. It's done exactly the same thing. It started fine. When the car turns on the battery cooling, I'm assuming this tripped again and said the same error 139. So I don't know what that means. But whatever, all I know is it means I can't charge my car, which is no problem. I'll just go down the road down there and use the EV network one and charge there. See, there's options. There's another charger 50 metres down the road. This one's broken, we can use that. Maybe the problem is just putting DC fast chargers, enough of them to cover the ones that are broken. Is that the option? Who knows? So what's the solution? At this point in time, funnily enough, I don't know. More chargers, bigger budgets, more funding, combination of all those, opening a Tesla network, Tesla licensing their charging technology and design to other companies to use. How about that, Elon? Come on. Anyway, hit me up on Twitter, Sydney EV, with possible solutions and how we think we fix it. Comments below. Like, someone has to come up with a smart idea. So let's find some smart ideas. And maybe you can put that to people like ChargeFox and EV and NRMA and people that install these chargers, or Tritium themselves. Who knows? But yes, this is my first vlog of the year. I'll try and get a few more up. I said that before, haven't I? But work and study gets in the way, unfortunately. So yeah, if you got this far, thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. Hope you enjoyed Christmas and New Year's holiday break. And I'll see you next one. Like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff. And oh yes, don't worry, there's lots of videos coming on our trip across Sydney to Perth if you want to know about that. I'll even probably do a quick Q&A soon on that as well. So yeah, take care of yourselves. Drive safe. Bye.